Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It is day 21 of RPG A Day 2020, and our prompt for today is push. And this one that I kind of looked at and said, "Push, huh? What am I going to talk about? Push, really?" But then I started thinking about it today after I looked at it, and there's so many different things to talk about. And I was going to settle on one. I said, "Ah, screw it. I'm just going to like kind of fly over the field and just mention a bunch of them, and be done with it in the short video." I start thinking about it. When you start thinking about RPGs and the word push, you can talk about things like pushing your luck, you know, in terms of the mechanics, in terms of taking a character, maybe that's like pushing their limits to what they're normally capable of doing. It's kind of ho-hum. It can be exciting sometimes for a character to attempt to do something they're pretty good at anyway. But when the deck is kind of stacked against them and they're pushing their luck, they're pushing the limits of this character, I think that's kind of interesting. How are you going to do that? Sometimes the game kind of flags. Things kind of grind to a halt, and somebody needs to give it a push. Maybe it's the game master, and maybe it's just a player that needs to kind of pick up the banner and say, okay, let's go this way. And we've had some experiences in our play-by-post game from time to time where somebody's had to go in and give it a little bit of a push because it's play-by-post and real life happens and people forget to look after a while and you're like, oh, I forgot about this game. Let's go back to this. And somebody needs to give it a gentle nudge and say, hey, I just knocked some things over. What I actually knocked over, which is not anything to do with this video, is I found these really cheap dice in Walmart. I have no idea if they're any good, but they were so flippin' cheap, I figured I'd buy them. And I heard some stuff, that maybe they're comparable to Chessex. Who really cares? These, on the other hand, these were super cheap, and they're incredibly cool dice, and I have to talk about these. Anyhow, this video is not about that, but I did knock something over. Sometimes we have to push to overcome obstacles, and that's a lot of what happens in role-playing game sessions. Is we're not just going here and going there and doing this and doing that. In some way, shape, or form, it is difficult. We are making choices which are difficult, and then our attempts to do something, whatever it is, it's difficult. There's resistance against this. The world is pushing back. Sometimes the game master is intentionally pushing back. There are some games that are entirely based on things like that. Like you look at something like Apocalypse World, and the idea is to push the characters around quite a bit, find out what's important to them, and then really just kind of beat the tar out of them. A little bit different take than what people normally associate with Powered by the Apocalypse. If you look at the original game, it's a lot different than people talk about. But anyhow, I'm getting on a soapbox I really shouldn't be on right now because it's positive. And sometimes there's just a pushback by the world in order to prevent advance or go in the other direction. So we do a lot of pushing in RPG sessions. Sometimes we're just pushing our own boundaries, pushing the envelope. The things that we're not necessarily comfortable with, the games that we haven't necessarily played, the systems that maybe seem daunting to us or unfamiliar to us, or that, we're just not sure, well, how does this really work? It's not comfortable like this other system I like. And we place, and so we're pushing ourselves to experience different parts of the hobby. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that word, and I could have gone down any one of those rabbit holes really deep, but nah, not today. So have a good one, kids, and I will talk to you tomorrow with, I'm trying to push the button here to end.